Hello, everybody. I love UFC 3. I just love the shit out of it. Like 2 months ago, when I watched the video, like early access, UFC 3 early access videos on YouTube, at first I wasn't so impressed by it. It looked kind of, it looked kind of bad. But actually getting to play it, it's so fucking fun. If you can see the redness in my eyes, just it's because I've been playing UFC 3 for fucking forever. For fucking 24/7. It's that good. UFC 2, I made a video in the past, UFC 2 rent video, and UFC 2 was good, but it had lots of flaws. Like Perry. What the fuck? I mean, parry in life does exist, but in the game it was portrayed very, very poorly. And people just spam body shots. And unrealistic head movement. It looked so robotic. I hated it. I hated the shit out of it. Actually, because of all the things that I hated about UFC 2, I was so angry about the players who use unrealistic head movement and head movements and the parry, and I lost the fight to a fucking cheater, and I fucking destroyed my controller. I had two controllers, I destroyed one. I took a break for a week to settle down, to calm down, and then I played it again. I got fucking angry again. I destroyed it. And I said, that's it. I'm not going to play UFC 2 anymore. But then, like a month later, I was like, I've got nothing to do. I want to play UFC game. I mean, it sucks, but it's the only best thing that I can ever get close to UFC game. So I did it. But that time, I was in peace, so I didn't break anything, even though people were using all the shits, the cheats, all the unrealistic stuff. I didn't throw it away. And then UFC 3 came. It's so perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's so great, especially the striking. Striking is so much better, so much better. So I've wrote down some lists of good things and some bad things. So first off, I'm going to talk about the good things. Striking is so good. It's so good. It's like if the UFC 2 striking was 5 or 6 out of 10, UFC 2 striking is like 8 or 9 out of 10. It's so good. It's so much fucking better. Like, there is you can actually now move in the UFC 2. You can't move and do head movement. You have to stop moving and do head movement, or just move. So it's like in UFC 2, if you wanted to do head movement, you'd be like walking, and then you can't go anywhere. But in UFC 2, you can, like in real fight, you can do head movement while moving. It's so fucking great. So fucking great. And it looks a lot more realistic than UFC 2. Love it. And you can slip the punches. Like if the punch is coming here, I can slip and bang. And if I slip and bang, the damage is a lot more lethal. And I can get the knockout. And there is one punch knockout. I love it. One punch knockout. If you slip and bang, you can get one punch knockout. If you slip and get a head kick, you can get a knockout. It's so perfect. And you can't get reckless. In UFC 2, I mean, also me, everybody's reckless because they know they're not going to get knocked out. Like you need to get head kicked like 5 or 6 times to get knocked out. But in UFC 3, all it takes is one left. All it takes is one left shot. One left shot. So you can't get reckless. If you get reckless and you miss and you get countered, you're fucked. And that's it. I'm out of breath. And you need skills. You need skills. Like in UFC 1, if you are kind of guy who are willing to cheat, who are willing to do like body head, you can win. You can also you can of course win, but in UFC 3, because as I said, you can't get reckless. You actually need skills to win. Like you need to do head movement. You need to do all the things that you need to win the fight. So you need skills to win the fight. I love it. And as I said, head movement while moving. It's so perfect. And also, you can throw any shots while moving. Like in UFC 2, because... So, in UFC 2, if you want to throw uppercut, square or triangle, you do this to flick the left stick, right or left to do uppercut. But because this one is the one that's controlling your movement, you can't move and do uppercut. You have to stop and do uppercut. You can't go forward and do uppercut. You can't go backward and do uppercut. But UFC 3, this one. So in UFC 2, this one controls the hook. If you go forward and throw a shot, it's hook. If you go back and throw a shot, it's uppercut. But in UFC 3, this one has nothing to do with striking. This one is just movement. And this one is head movement. And so if you want to throw a hook, it should be like square and L1. It's kind of, at first it's kind of, what's the word? Frustrating, because it's so different, but you can't go back and throw a hook. You can go forward, throw a hook. You can go backward, throw a uppercut. It's so great. And no parry. Thank God, no parry. No fucking parry. But there's no parry. But I was hoping for this, and thank God UFC did it. You can catch body kicks. It's kind of different from parry. You can catch body kick if you time the blocking, time the body shot blocking. It's so good. It's so good. And leg kicks are vicious. In UFC 2, if you want to TKO a guy or a girl with a kick, you have to kick them for forever. But in UFC 3, sometimes all it takes is 1 or 2. And if you get kicked like 10 times, you're like, you can't move well, and you're fucked. You're fucked. So leg kicks are vicious. I love it. But it kind of seems too vicious, but it's okay. And better stamina. So this, another problem with UFC 2 is that the problem with stamina is if you throw like 3 or 4 shots, you're out of gas. So if you throw a combination like whoo, you're out of gas. But in UFC 3, you can do hoo, and still you have gas. Love it. It's so great. Because like in real fight, sometimes they go for blitz or they go for, for the finish, and they're like and UFC 2, you can't do that, but in UFC 3 you can. And another one that's awesome is hand speed is so much faster. In UFC 3, the hand speed is like whoo whoo whoo. I mean UFC 2 it was like whoo whoo whoo. But in UFC 3 it's like whoo 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 whoo. It's so much faster, so much more realistic. Love the shit out of it. And fighters get new skills. Like Andrei Arlovsky when he fought Francis Ngannou, he did lose, but he used kicks like this one. I don't know the name for this one, but he used kicks like this one, and he used a spinning back kick to the body against Marcin Tybura. He used a spinning back fist against Junior Albini. He has the new skills. I love it. And another thing that's also important that UFC 3 that has is almost any fighter can win any fight if you got skills. Like in UFC 2, if the stats for the fighter is not that good, you can kind of win the fight because like Conor McGregor is the OP character. Like it's hard to win fight. Like if in UFC 2, if Conor McGregor and Jeremy Stevens are fighting, Conor McGregor, like if two players had same skills, Conor McGregor would win like 7 or 8 out of 10 times, because just the character is OP. But in UFC 3, if you got skills, you can definitely win. Because you can slip and bang. And you can't get reckless. Alright. So now, on to the bad stuff. I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad. But I would say things that EA can improve on. So, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Is that Francis Ngannou's body is so small. Francis Ngannou is big, and he looks like he's got a body of Anderson Silva. And he's not like fat. He's kind of lean, but very fucking muscular. But he's big. But in the game, he's kind of small. So I think EA should make him more buff. I don't know, but why? But I'm out of breath. I don't know. And except for like really popular fighters, EA Sports UFC 3 didn't change the hairstyle or the looks of the fighters. Like Jeremy Stevens got a new hairstyle. They didn't change it. Duho Choi got a new hairstyle. They didn't change it. I hope they change the new looks because, it's fucking cool. I hope they do that. And some fighters are missing. Today I was watching an interview of Marcin Tybura, and he looked like a very, very cool guy. He looked so kind, and he looked so cool. So I was like, I want to play him in UFC 3, and I was looking for Marcin Tybura, and there was no fucking Marcin Tybura, and he is in the top 15. What the fuck? You can do better than that, EA. And another thing is, blocking is kind of OP. Like the chin in UFC 3 is more realistic in a way that they can get knocked out easier, but blocking is kind of OP. I think, like, if you get knocked down and someone comes down to knock you out, if you block, most of the times you survive. Your chin is not that good in UFC 3, but your blocking is so good. I mean, when I'm hurt, blocking I mean, of course helps. But while I'm surviving on the ground, I'm feeling, if it was a real fight, I'd be dead right now. So, blocking is kind of OP. And kicks are kind of slow. So in UFC 2, if you throw a kick, it'd be like, if you miss, if you throw a kick, it's like this, and if you miss, it's still this animation. But in UFC 3, if your legs are slow and there's this animation, like if you miss, it's like it's kind of realistic, but it's too slow. I mean, you don't like really do this in real fights, so and closing the distance is the movement of the fighters are kind of slow. Yesterday I played UFC 2, and then I right away noticed the difference in the movement speed. It's like, if UFC 2 was this speed, UFC 3 is like this. It's fucking too slow. So it's, I don't know, but I'm out of breath. It's so hard to close the distance, and head movement while moving. I like it, but it kind of looks weird, because in real life, I mean, for example, Cain Velasquez, he's like this, but in real life, you do this, but in UFC 3, it's like you lunge every time you do head movement. It looks kind of weird. It's not too horrible, but I think it's something that they could improve on. And another thing is striking sound. This is another thing that a lot of people have been talking about. Striking sound, it sounds kind of weird. It's like every time I hit, it sounds like something's cracking. It's like it's not horrible, but it's kind of weird. So, and this one's kind of big. In UFC 2, if you get knocked down, you can go for the kill right away. But in UFC 3, I have to talk about the good stuff first. In UFC 3, when you get knocked down, there's a good animations. There's like, sometimes, like when Cain Velasquez got knocked down by Junior Dos Santos in the first fight, he like boom, and his hand got on the ground. Like many times, sometimes you would get like, oh, but sometimes your hand would land first, and that kind of animation is in UFC 3. But if you do this, when there's this animation of hand go down first, knockdown, I can't fucking attack them. Even when I knock them out, I can't fucking attack. I can't kick their fucking head to knock them out. I mean, maybe that's because if their hand is on the ground, I can't kick their head. Maybe that's why, but I don't know. And this one. The controls are too complicated. Yes, you can move and strike, but you can't. I mean, it's so when uppercut in UFC 2 was this or this, but in UFC 3, it's triangle and circle, or square and X together. It's this combined. It's like it's kind of hard because when you're in the fight, he's like, it gets what's the fucking word? It's when you're in the moment, it's kind of hard to do uppercut because you have to push them at the same time, but sometimes you'd be like triangle would be pushed a bit faster than circle, so just a punch would land, just a straight right would land, and things like that, you know. And combinations, some combinations, and the like for example, and another thing is like Andrei Arlovski spinning back kick to the body. It's R1, L1, R2, O. What the fuck? Now I'm kind of used to it because I use shit out of Andrei Arlovski, but what the fuck? R1, L1, L2, O? What? What? And some combinations don't work in UFC 3. So there's a combination that Andrei Arlovski used against Junior Albini, and there was straight right, left body kick, and then uppercut. And you can do straight right, left body kick, but you can't follow up with uppercut after body kick. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. But the point is, UFC 3 is awesome. Striking wise, it's awesome. I'm not a ground guy. I'm not a wrestling guy, so I don't really wrestle unless I want to be on top of a guy and tire them out, or if I'm really hurt, or you know, I always go for the knockout. So and people say that ground game hasn't changed much, but I don't give a fuck. It could also get better, but I'm a striking guy, so okay, so UFC 3, it's so good. It's expensive, but it's worth it. If you're a true fan of UFC, you should buy it. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's almost perfect. Playing UFC 3, I'm thinking UFC 4 is gonna be perfect. Perfect. Okay, so that's it. UFC 3 is a lot better than UFC 2. UFC 2 striking was, yeah. UFC striking is, so it's fucking good. Fucking good. It's expensive, but fucking good. So go ahead and play it. Thank you.